morning, everyone. I would like to thank the Committee of European Commission Thematic Forums on Development of Entrepreneurial Universities for inviting me to speak. I'm Zaini Ujang, Secretary General to Ministry of Education Malaysia. I would like to share with you what I think important as far as entrepreneurial university concept is all about. First of all, I have some slides to show. Let me go to the slides that I have prepared earlier. The importance of entrepreneurships in higher education, I think, is well understood by many people. Therefore, I have coined a word. I'm interested on the concepts of Blue Ocean Strategy developed by Chan Kim and his team. And I think what I have in mind is what I call Blue Ocean New Academia in relation to demand-driven entrepreneurship education, that what we are trying to do in Malaysia at the moment. Briefly, Malaysia is very fond in education. We spend 16% of our annual budget on basic education, another 5% to higher education. So if you look into the basic education, say for example, Malaysia is about 16, we have Thailand, our neighbor, 18% spending, but OECD, on average, spending about 8.7%. This shows that the importance of education is there already in many countries in the world, in Mexico, in Chile, in Hong Kong, in Korea, and whatnot. If you look into higher education, one of the important elements that we have, or parameters we have, is on publication. And this is important as well to state that countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, China, they are competing and improving a lot as far as journal publication as a result of higher education research and innovation. This is very important as well because on top of spending a lot of money and investment in higher education, we would like to see what is our status in this field. And then comparing to other countries, Malaysia, this is in terms of quantum numbers that we have in 2007, say for example, we produced in the country about 3,700 papers, but in 2012, the number increased to 11,500. So this is growth of R&D in Asia. China is top from 1996 to 2007 with 22%, and Malaysia is 18%. This data is important for us in Malaysia in particular to reflect on it. We have spent a lot. We have tried to position ourselves in many ways. So what is the implication and what is the impact out of it? The first impact is number of PhD students increase, giving different kind of ecosystem in the country. In the past, almost all of us, including myself, when you want to do PhD, you travel abroad. You go to United Kingdom, you go to United States, you go to Germany, you go to Japan, Korea, Australia. But now the number of PhD students in Malaysian campuses has increased drastically from 4,000 in 2002 to more than 30,000 in 2011 in particular. And if you look into the number of foreign students coming to the country, is also increasing very significantly from 26,000 to close to 100,000 last year. So this indicates the ecosystem is there. The issue now, how we want to move forward, how we can change the situation to make it more entrepreneurial in nature, demand-driven R&D, and this is what we are trying to do. I give you an example. One of the university that I always highlighted because I was Vice Chancellor, President of this university for 5 years, close to 5 years. The number of graduate students is increased and it became graduate university, 53% graduate students in 2012. With PhD students, the highest in the country, about 4,455. The number of postgraduate students, 12,000. International students, 5,000. Overall, postgraduate in science and technology in the country is about 33%. And we send students abroad. We have a new concept of academia. We call it New Academia that I'm going to explain shortly. And then, this is important, intellectual property that they establish or they formulated every year. They file more than 400 patents or other intellectual properties. So this is the situation in a small country like Malaysia. I'm very sure other countries also doing the same thing. But the shortcomings that we found is mainly because we are not able to share among facilities that we have in the country. We have still low total productivity in terms of intellectual property and publications compared to the investment we have made. Knowledge ecosystem, impact beyond academia, and then sustainability of financial framework, which require, I think, more autonomy to be given to universities. So overall, this is what we are trying to do, creative planning process in order to enhance entrepreneurship learning ecosystem. This is what is also trying to be developed in the country. I think everyone, everywhere in the world, we are talking about business perspective within academia, and at the same time, holistic education. These are examples of what we can do. We have a lot of projects, peer instruction, blossoms that some universities are working with MIT, global outreach program, and students are using case studies. In this particular case is using Harvard Business School case studies. We have also entrepreneur in resident concepts. And on top of that, this is something new in Malaysia. We have service learning developed very significantly in the past few years and few others. So let me conclude this presentation by predicting what is going to happen to the future university. What will be the future university from our perspective? This is a book that I have written about 3 years ago about new academia. We think that the history of university started when we have undergraduate and postgraduate students. And then the university will move forward by having master or PhD programs, postdoctoral activities and whatnot. And finally, university will be focused to improve teaching. They have to do a lot of research to make sure that the knowledge is current, the information given to the student or ecosystem given to the student is real, and this is what we try to do. And in order to do that, many universities try to link themselves with industry. They work closely, many industries joining them to develop a lot of partnerships for internships, for research collaboration, innovation, IP co-generation and whatnot. But I think this is a typical common academia. And this is what many countries are trying to do. These are what many universities are trying to do, and which I think is a bit difficult if you want to make it entrepreneurial. Why? Because you are trapped by the standards set by industry. You will not go beyond that. The graduates you want to employ or you want to generate must be able to meet the requirement of the industry. And sometimes the requirement is not, with industry, the requirement is not entrepreneurial in nature. They want someone that knows the basic skills that they require, and sometimes those requirements are not met or are not suitable for a good entrepreneurial characters or features. Therefore, we think that we have to develop entrepreneurial university. And entrepreneurial university is beyond academia-industry partnerships. If I want to put it this way, the critical success factor for entrepreneurial university is a new academia. We cannot use the present academia because of several reasons. I give you an example. These are features of a university. We have to have faculty members, and in all academias, it must be headed, must be delivered by professors from that academic track. But in new academia, inventors, entrepreneurs, policymakers, they must come on board to teach, to do research, to do a lot of other things happening in university. And learning materials shouldn't be limited to books and journals as what is common in the old academia or conventional academia. It must be also enhancing experience, internet, internship, and tacit knowledge. And this tacit knowledge sometimes is not belong or is not obvious among professors. Sometimes tacit knowledge in certain fields are more, I think, obvious among entrepreneurs or policymakers. Say, for example, if you studying architecture, probably the best architects or the best person to teach architecture are those who have done a lot of design, a lot of big projects or small projects. And these are not among professors. Probably some professors, they have not done themselves. So, but top architects, if they are on board, they are also part of the faculty members, they will be better than some professors in order to deliver the subjects. And the same thing happening to other things. Philosophy, say for example, it shouldn't be too specialized, it should be more integrated and give meaning to what we are learning at university level. And finally, I just go through, you can see the outcomes of academia. It shouldn't be limited to degrees or credential that we know from academics perspective, but it must also include business models. The moment the student completed their study in university, they must be able to know what they want to do. They must know what kind of models that they want to enhance or they want to achieve prior to their graduation. They should get some capitals or know how to get capitals. They should have networks, how to work in that area. They have to have degree plus kind of outcomes from university, and what is important is the culture. So ladies and gentlemen, these are some examples of programs that we can have to enhance new academia that I've mentioned earlier. Faculty members, say for example, we should have more adjunct staff. We should have academic fellows and co-supervisors rather than professors. In Malaysia, we are now migrating from 10% non-academic tracks to 20%, and in the future probably we can reach 50%. I know that some countries in the world, they have more than 50% of their academic faculties are not from the academic track. And this is very important because they can give you tacit knowledge on what we are trying to do. In order to learn entrepreneurship, say for example, who will be better teacher? A professor that doing research and studied about entrepreneurships, or those who have done entrepreneurship themselves, that willing to come to university to share their experiences and to teach our students about entrepreneurships. So I think that's very obvious. And then the outcomes, say for example, programs such as job creation, microcredits for students while studying in university should be offered as well. Spin-off companies, real project for students instead of hypothetical projects that they are doing at the moment should be enhanced. So this is what I have in mind. I think this is important. European Commission Thematic Forum on Developing Entrepreneurial Universities, I think it's very timely, and we in Malaysia, in Asia in particular, are very excited about this development and want to take part. Thank you for inviting me. I'm so sorry I'm not be able to be there because of some assignment that I have in the country at the moment that I will not be able to travel. And thank you again. Have a nice conference.